Certainly when I was teaching, it was a kid's voice all the time. I used to teach math and IT and financial literacy at Elsevier. During the year and a half of Zoom, occasionally it would happen. I could often figure out who it was, actually. Not always. But,
Yeah.
And then I could take care of that pretty easily. Yeah. And you can just cut them off if you're teaching.
Oh, I got it.
Apparently you can't do it here. That's terrible. Yeah. Oh, well. I mean, somebody could walk up to the podium and do the same thing, right?
Yeah, but,
Yeah,
No.
they're not that brave.
yeah.
I wonder if it would be legal to get somebody's, or a staff person to get somebody's name and phone number before they could speak. Worth checking into.
There's another thing about that too.
Yeah.
We can't require registration.
Uh-huh.
So, it's a little past 7. Excuse me, my voice is hoarse today. But if we can move into, I call this meeting to order. Do I need to say the time for this? Okay, calling the meeting to order and then moving into roll call.
Member Cho's absent. Member Fain?
Here.
Member Lindsay?
Here.
Member Oji?
Here.
Member Trenkle?
Here.
And Chair Ajwang.
Yeah. And moving on to the land acknowledgement. The City of Albany recognizes that we occupy the land originally protected by the Confederated Villages of Lijan. We acknowledge the genocide that took place on these lands and must make strides to repay the moral debt that is owed to this indigenous people, specifically the Ohlone tribe. We thank them for their contributions which have transformed our community, and we will continue to bring forth growth and unity. The City of Albany commits to sustaining ongoing relationships with the tribe and together build a better future for all that now make this their home. Okay, then moving on to approval of the minutes from the meeting on September 7th, 2023. Is there a motion to approve?
Well, you could make a motion to approve, but a lot of times we just ask anybody, did they have any changes first? Anything they saw? Didn't see anything wrong with them.
So there's a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second?
Member Fain?
Yes.
Member Lindsay?
Yes?
Member Oji?
Yes.
Member Trenkle?
Yes.
And Chair Ajwang.
Yes. Thank you. Now moving on to the public comment section.
There's no public comments right now.
Okay. Then moving swiftly on to announcements.
Well, I have one.
Go ahead, Member Lindsay.
I was looking at our previous minutes, and it said that we were going to work on housing element equity issues. All members will research independently and work on this item together during public meetings. It's huge, because I looked at it, I don't know, a few months ago or something. I mean, it's just like astonishingly huge. Mm-hmm. So, we can't discuss this because it's not on the agenda, I think, but that's why I'm just mentioning it during announcements. Maybe we need the city to give us all copies or something that we could have at home.
Yeah.
Oh,
I believe it's available online on the city website.
as a PDF.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's available online, but from what I remember Mr. Bond mentioning, that it might be more useful to reach out to him and his body that is kind of working on that and seeing how we can plug ourselves into the plans that they have and working that way, because as you said, the housing element is a pretty lengthy document, and I don't think any of us are experts in even just being able to pass out all the stuff in that in the housing element would be difficult. I think it's more useful to maybe figure out how we can work with him and his team.
Okay, I don't think we can really make any plans tonight, right? Because it's not on the agenda, or?
In possibly in the future items, or you can contact me afterwards if you're interested in outreach or something, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but also to that point, it sounded as though he was going to be able to let us know when it was ready for us to step in. That's essentially my recollection of what Mr. Bond had said. I think that it might be useful to reach out to him, but I don't think that there's actually any action items for us to act on at this moment regarding the housing element.
Okay. Right. We can't, it's not an agendized item, so we can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Any further announcements? So presentations. We don't actually have any presentations on this.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, never mind, we did that.
Okay. No.
All right.
And so now moving on to discussion and possible action on matters related to the different subcommittees that were broken out last meeting. And we can go in order, or if anybody has any burning items they want to discuss first, we can do it that way as well.
In order is fine.
Okay, cool. So City Equity Statement Subcommittee. Is there an update for that?
I can. Wait, what did you say? Oh, never mind.
That's the one that's composed of members Rios and Cho, neither of whom are here tonight.
Okay. Do we need to make a motion to table that for the next meeting, or can we just table it?
No, it's an open discussion. You can put it on the future agenda if you like. It can be an ongoing revisited item.
Okay.
We can just say no report or something like that, you know.
Okay. We'll revisit it in our next meeting. And then the citywide, or the next item is the citywide racial equity survey subcommittee. So are there any updates on that one?
Yeah, we met a few times to figure out what's happening with that. But we're planning to meet the city manager tomorrow to create a timeline and stuff and see how we can help.
Yep.
Sounds good. Is there anything else you'd want to add?
Well, we should have more to report in the next meeting. Unfortunately, it would have been nice if we could have met with her before this meeting, but it's the day after this meeting. So next month, we should have a lot more to report.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate your work on that. And the read-along program subcommittee. So
We got together last week, I think, and we came up with a plan, and then we heard about the other plan that they're doing that we'd like to potentially be a part of. The things that we organized that we talked about for our plan was helping it be a sustainable program, so buying the books and then donating them and continuing them. We got a few books that we came up with of potential books that we could read. What else to make me do all the talking?
yeah, mainly just outlining all of the steps. We went through the, I'm sorry, I forgot what that form is called. Yeah, the template form, and just trying to understand and outline the pros and cons of the different, of that specific program. And so we came up with a plan, but the Albany Reads is already starting up doing, I think it's monthly read-along type of program. And
Basically what we want to do.
yeah. And so I reached out to, because I tried to look online and find information of the people who are hosting it, but I didn't. And so I reached out to the Albany Library to see if they could give me any information or put me in contact with the people who are organizing it so that I can reach out to them and see which ways we can collaborate, as you had mentioned. So maybe looking to collaborate with Albany Reads versus creating a whole program that's separate from that, which would essentially be fulfilling the same.
It would actually be more ideal because with us, we weren't able to actually get school access.
Exactly. They have the buy-in. Mhm.
Yes, they already have access with schools. So that is what we initially, that was the hope.
Point, yeah.
So that's the one with there were two of them, right? Is Albany Reads the same thing as Albany Library? Those two separate things?
Albany Reads is taking place at the library.
Oh, okay.
But it's kind of like, all the other programs that they have running at the library that are hosted by somebody. But I don't know who it is who hosts Albany Reads, and I'm just trying to figure out how to get the contact information so I can move forward with potentially joining forces with them.
Isn't there another one also, though?
Not that I know of.
Are you talking about the one where they're reading the book for high school? Are you talking about that?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I just remember hearing about another one besides Albany Reads, but I don't remember the details.
Probably that.
I think it's the same.
Is it the same book?
Yep. Mhm.
It's the same book, actually. I noticed that. Everybody wants to read that book. But you're saying that's part of the same program. That's part of Albany Reads?
Yeah, so Albany Reads is partnering with the AUS, what is it, the acronym? AUSD?
Yeah.
And they're doing that in conjunction. So they're reading accountable, and it's something that they're working on together. So I think that you might be potentially talking about the same thing.
And when you said it's monthly, so they have a monthly reading at the library, but there's also readings happening in classes?
I'm not sure.
We're going to find out.
Exactly. I'm trying to
Okay.
get the information so that I can figure all that out and figure out how we can plug ourselves in.
And are we going to ask the city to do anything?
You mean as it relates to actually the work plan that we're putting together?
Well, with regard to our work plan items, do we want the city to do anything? The library is doing it, and the school district is doing something. Do we want the city
Yeah.
to do anything?
Is it the library in the city?
It's
Same thing?
funded by the city?
Yeah.
Yeah. Plus, it probably gets some kind of state or federal funding too, but I don't really know about that.
I mean, that's an interesting point as it relates to the funding aspect. Because my thought is that, to your question, is the city going to do anything? The goal is to reach out to them, have a conversation, understand if they need any help, and then with the fact that we already have this built out, use whatever resources we have to fill in what they need. But the question, there's a couple questions that come out of that is, what resources can we actually gain from council to be able to push towards the Albany Reads program? And is it essentially the same? Is the money coming out of the same pot anyway because the Albany Library receives funding from the city? So those are things to kind of tease out as we go.
Yeah, I mean, just brainstorming. How many people in Albany actually know about this? And so the city might be able to do some kind of postcard. They have an email, sort of weekly thing they send out.
Yep.
But I don't know how many people get that and read that. And if you're really trying to promote something, you can't just do it with one way. You have to try, different ways to reach people.
I get it from newsletters. Like my daughter's at Ocean View, and it was in the newsletter.
So for the kids.
Yeah, so everyone at that school knows, which means probably the other elementary schools. I don't know about middle school and high school, but it was in the principal's newsletter.
Right. So that's for the kids, but there's also
adults.
Yeah, there's families that don't have kids.
I think if we have a flyer, like I'm on the Albany, I don't know if it's Albany, yeah, I'm on an Albany Parents one, and then there's another Albany Community something on Facebook. There's like a few different pages.
Right.
That's a good one, yeah.
So
Mhm.
I think just posting things there, I'm on like a few different ones, the SPED one and something else. We could do that.
Maybe even in the YMCA.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know like what kind of books they are reading currently?
All I know is that they're doing Accountable. They already started that. But again, I wasn't able to find a list of books that they wanted to tackle. So I'm not sure.
It's like if it's like being emailed to like kids, is it? I don't know, or the kids' parents. Is it? Oh, so is this for, like for adults mainly, or like teenagers or children?
I'm guessing my kid's not gonna go.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
She's like 8, but I would go.
Okay.
I wanted to go, but just the time frame of it, I can't go. But yeah, I hope that answers the question.
I don't know what age groups Accountable is appropriate for.
They're partnering with AUSD. I mean, I'm assuming that it's something that's being filtered through at least the high school.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, high
it
school
might-
kids should be fine with that.
Yeah. So
Maybe middle school.
Maybe
yeah,
middle
my
school.
my thought is probably it's like PG-13, like up, type of thing. Yeah.
It could be that a list of books coming from our subcommittee, a list of suggested books might be a really good thing. And another thing that comes to mind is that they're doing it monthly, that's great. But, maybe alternating every 2 weeks, another book could be done in, somewhere else. Or, I don't really know. But
Yeah.
the subcommittee can discuss ideas. And
So we actually did come up with a list of books while we were brainstorming for. We got pretty far, is what I'll say. We got pretty far in the recommendation template before we realized that they were doing it already. But some of the books that came up was 1619, Accountable, which they're doing, Stamped, which is a book by Ibrahim X. Kendi. The more popular version is called Stamped from the Beginning, but that's not child appropriate, so he has a version that's for children called Stamped. The 57 Bus, which I don't remember the author for that one.
It's the same one as Accountable. I forgot her name.
Okay, got it. And then Shifting, which you had recommended, I forgot the author as well, sorry. And then The Warmth of Other Suns, which is a book I recommended, but then I forgot the author as well. And so we had, those are the books by Black authors. We had 2 books by Asian American authors, Minor Feelings and No No Boy. And then 1 book by Hispanic American author called American Debt. And then we had 3 books that are disability related. So we have a pretty robust list of books that we could possibly tackle, and we kind of put together a plan. But again, I think so much of this rests on, what Albany reads. One of the subcommittee members getting in touch with Albany Reads, figuring out what their needs are, and then going from there.
what about White Fragility?
By Robin DiAngelo?
Yeah. Is that too heavy?
I think that the focus, I think it makes sense to focus on authors of color and authors coming from disenfranchised backgrounds. I think that White Fragility, is a book that I think gained a lot of traction at some point, but, as it relates to being able to pay back to the communities that are actually, the most at the brunt of these issues, it makes sense to go with minoritized folks.
I also noticed that on our original sheet it says for all ages. If Albany Reads is just focused on teens to adults, are you gonna try to make something for kids too?
I think that's a really good point. And I have some books in mind because I just buy these books for my kids. But
I know. I have a library at my
yeah,
house.
so there's
You
a
vetted them already, right?
yeah. I mean, I feel like Bell Hooks has a book. Ibrahim X Kendi has a book that he wrote for kids. There's a lot of these authors who've written these books have also done children's books that are age appropriate. So I feel like that's a really good. I'm gonna write that down.
The issue is working with the schools, because when we originally talked about this, I remember being told it's like separate. So if we wanted it for kids, I guess technically we could advertise it on the website. Like I get the monthly or weekly emails, whatever they are. I guess we could advertise it there and then encourage families to come. Is that
For the
doable?
Albany Reads, you mean?
If we gear it towards like children.
Young kids.
Yeah.
Well, the library had the. I used to take my son to the, what do you call it? Story time, whatever it's called, and that's something we could approach them and say, hey, can you integrate these books into your story time or something like that? So it's not a heavy lift. It's just you already have this system set up. Can we just, give some of this good stuff?
Yes, yeah.
And at some point, we might want to expand the program, but right now, I guess it's a new one, and we're figuring it out and like that. Where it's more than once a month that's available to people. If they read every Saturday at 1, maybe some people can't come Saturdays at 1, something like that. So if there was a Wednesdays at 6 or something, I'm just making stuff up,
Yeah. Or at schools, like if we're able to get like volunteers, like parents, if it's for younger kids, like I volunteer at Ocean View, and the past 2 weeks, different parents have come in to read books for like Hispanic Heritage Month, which the kids love because, the books are really cool and they teach them things and stuff. So if we could get parent volunteers, then the kids could hear it directly, like in the school library.
Here's that tricky thing that you said, though, which is that we advise the city council, and the city council and the schools are
Right.
completely separated, although they cooperate quite a bit. So it'd be like, I'm trying to think how we could finesse that. And it might be by having, speakers, maybe a speaker, maybe we invite a speaker, which would be our chair and staff person who sort of arrange that usually. And maybe it would be from Albany Reads, or it would be from the school district or somebody like that. And we can, figure out what we can do about it. Basically, we can ask the city council to do something, and we can bring people into this meeting and have a discussion about something. That's kind of what we can do, but we're not supposed to anyway, tell the school board we think you should do X, Y, and Z or something like that. We just can't do that because we're not a school board commission, we're a city commission. So it's going to be a little tricky if it's school focused, is what I'm trying to say, but probably some way to finesse it.
I mean, I guess my thought process there is that if this program is already kind of signed on, so AUSD is already signed on to this program, then would it not then be? It's not as if we are trying to get the two sides to agree or hold hands. It's mainly just saying this thing is already happening. Like we can just facilitate what's already happening. Versus we're not trying to get buy-in. They already are doing it.
Yeah, the Albany Library, right? Yeah, sure.
Well, the Albany Library in conjunction with the AUSD.
Also, you're saying that we can have parent volunteers. I think you probably, I don't know if it's possible, but maybe high school student volunteers to read these books.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a great idea. I think the littler kids would really love it if high school students were in there reading to them, So I think that's a lovely idea.
Are there any more questions or additions or comments related to the read-along program?
There is public comment.
hear it.
Please go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to, I actually was trying to talk, it was so fast that earlier when it was like open comment, you know, and it was like 2 seconds. I put my hand up, but it was too late. So I had a comment for that period. But for this period, I just wanted to tell you one thing is that the Albany Library is funded by the county. It's a branch of the Alameda County Library, and then it also gets city funds. That I would recommend reaching out to the teen services librarian and the children's services librarian at the Albany Library and seeing if they could just come to a meeting, put that on your agenda and come and talk about the programs they're doing and any way that they might, ideas they might have for working together. There's a lot of lists out there. I know that it sounds like you've got some great titles in mind, but there's also librarians. I'm a librarian. I was at the Albany Library for 10 years as the children's and YA librarian, which is why I know where they get their money. So there are a lot of lists out there. There's like a website called We Need Diverse Books, but there's a million other ones. And so I think if you were looking for other suggestions focused on specific age ranges, that you could look at those, or actually just ask the librarians if they have suggestions. There's also a lot of library groups that could suggest things. And then in your communities that you're including, I just wanted to be sure that you're also including the LGBTQ plus community besides people with disabilities and people of color, or just make sure that in terms of a diversity and economically diverse, I think I would also suggest if that would be a possibility. And just throw this in and you can tell me I'm not allowed to say this, but just the comment I was going to give earlier was that the renters survey that the city is supposed to be doing, I would love it if you would learn more about it and maybe have some suggestions for them, because they're not doing a very thorough job of reaching out to renters. And I'd like to see that happen. And that's part of the housing element that you mentioned earlier, which I know you're going to put on a future agenda. But I just wanted to mention that was actually the one reason I wanted to speak up. I think that's it. I'm really, this is the first time I've attended this meeting in a while. I think the last time I attended maybe when it was still SEJC, I can't remember. So I'm really glad to see all of your faces and hear from you. And I'm looking forward to the work that you're doing, and I appreciate that you're doing it. Thank you.
Thank you. Point of clarification. Did she say rent-a survey?
Yes.
Okay, got it. I thought I had that wrong. Okay, cool.
I believe that's it for public comment.
Thank you. Okay. Moving on to future agenda items. So, anybody have any requests for future agenda items?
I do, but I thought I'd let other people go first.
Okay. Well, I feel like you can go ahead.
I'd just be me, huh? Okay. So we had talked about an evening like tonight where it's 7:30 and we're almost through with the agenda, about having always something on there, almost always something on there that we can work on together. And if the housing element is not ready to go yet, and besides that's a hard one to do because it's so huge. It says, read it on your own and then come bring in ideas. I'm like, oh my Lord, right? It could be the other work plan item, the racial equity office and racial equity officer, which is much more sort of bite-sized as opposed to the housing element. So I guess my request for a future agenda item is that we put that one on if we have time. It's, when we have time. If there's no time, we don't do it that meeting. But if we have time, that's what we work on. It would be item 6.2 typically, something like that.
Okay, and so specifically what would we be talking about, or just how do you want to phrase that as a line item?
That we have pretty much a standing agenda item 6-2, which would be working together on the work plan item regarding a racial equity office and racial equity officer for the city of Albany.
Okay. And
I mean, I would say, or if the two of you, as the makers of the agenda, think we should do the housing element thing, you know, the housing equity piece, at time, maybe you put that on. But at least we have a 6-2 that's one of the, it's either the housing element or the equity officer.
Can't we put both and then work on whatever we have time for?
Put them both on the agenda and work on one of them.
Is that allowed?
Yeah, you can agendize how you see fit.
It's, if there was, I think it's fine in practice for us to do that. In general, if you put something on the agenda that, part of the reason we do that is so that people know we're going to talk about it and they can come and join. If we put it on the agenda and they come and then we just skip it because it wasn't real, it can be a little hard on a member of the public. But it's not like we get 43 people coming who are, you know, super eager to talk about an item. So maybe that would be okay, and we would just decide which one we want to do. But I would also trust the chair and staff to say, you know, let's do the equity office one, or let's do the housing element one this time. You know, I'm okay either way.
so I think for the housing element one, it might be useful as a future agenda item just to have a note saying an update regarding the collaboration between Rice and the, what is his
Jeff Bond
yes, but what is his
was the director of the Community Development Department.
yeah, so between like the Rice Commission and the Community Development Department. So that's, so in, I guess what I'm saying is, how about I reach out to him and see where he's at with that and whether how he would want to collaborate, and then I can provide that update in the next meeting.
Yeah. So
'Cause I
this,
think we'll have something to actually like flesh out. We might not have anything to flesh out.
right, in which case then 6-2 would be the equity officer.
Yeah.
Yeah, which we could talk about and, you know.
I can reach out to the Community Development Department for possibly presenting to the Rise Commission at a future meeting, if you like.
So for that presentation, I guess, what would be the presentation for that?
Possibly he could speak about particular items within the housing element plan. You were mentioning that you were kind of, you know, it's a large document. Possibly he could help bring some light to that, or, you know, if you have pinpoint questions, something like that.
You did a presentation for us, like almost the first meeting, I think.
That's right.
So this one might be more towards equity in the broad sense, you know, and how we can collaborate, like what our chair was talking about, sort of more focused on that. You know, what can we do as part of our work plan? We're supposed to do stuff, so what do we do? And then presentations from Albany Reads,
Is that something that staff can find out easier? Because I sent an email, and I don't know if that's information that you can get as it relates to the Albany, getting in contact with Albany Reads.
Albany Reads?
And maybe having them come to our meeting and we can talk.
I can see what I can do. I'll contact you after the meeting.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
usually the two of you can kind of collaborate to get speakers, and sometimes it's hard. They're like, oh yeah, I could do, you know, January 3rd, you know, or something, and you go, okay, right, you know, or they don't respond to you or something. So it can be a little annoying, a little bit hard, but usually the two of you will coordinate between meetings to line up a presenter. Sometimes you're lining them up 3 months in advance and stuff, you know, it's like, anyway. We could have two, you know, if that made sense.
Wait, did you get in contact with the Lejeune people for a presentation?
They still haven't. I never got any response from that. And I guess, did you mention that you were going to try and get in contact with them? Because I think you said you
Lejeune?
had, yeah, you had.
No, I didn't have that. What my contact was with Hip Hop for the People.
Okay.
And I just sent an email introducing that person, Coffrey J, with the two of you
Send an email just now?
earlier today.
Oh, okay, got it. Okay, got it.
But the Lejeune tribe was handled. The city has a relationship with the Lejeune tribe. It's a standing relationship. Their flag is flying. They've come to the city council and stuff. So there should be some way to get hold of them. But if you're having trouble, let me know, and I can try a couple of back contacts, you know.
Mm.
You could check with, I mean, they should just be available on the internet. I mean, you know, too, but.
I mean, it was available, but I reached out to their general contact and I just didn't hear back. So I was trying to see how to best get in contact with them.
John, do you know who in the city interfaces with the Lejeune tribe?
I'm sorry, I couldn't say. I don't know.
Somebody does.
Imagine, yeah.
So maybe it's Nicole, I don't know, you know, who reached out to them. I really don't know. But somebody in the city has reached out to them. I mean, I could see if I could contact, especially if I get a reminder, because I'm pretty swamped. But I'll put on my list here. I can ask KZ.
Is there a place to go, like a business address or something?
It must have that because actually people donate to them as a sort of land tax. And I believe they're incorporated and all sorts of stuff, you know. So you found them, they just didn't reply to you is what you're saying. Yeah. Somebody's got their hand up there, I don't know.
Can we do public comment right now?
For future items, yes.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Ma'am? Sorry, ma'am. You could speak up at the mic. At the
Is that on now? Is that fine? Okay. As a hard of hearing old person, I would appreciate if council or committee could speak into the mic as well. I could hear you better. I'm just curious, couple of things. Have you all become familiar with the Seguritate Land Trust website? Okay, just a minute. It's SOGOREA, then TE landtrust.org. They talk about how to come correct, that is, in approaching the tribe and the land trust. And I may suggest that the more familiar you are in advance with whom you want to approach, and a particular question is, you're asking them to come to you, and I'm wondering why you want them to come to you. What would be your purpose? So just please get in touch and check out what they're working on and who they are. Thank you.
Thank you for your public comment. Appreciate it. Yes, Member Lindsay?
Yeah, that's the land trust that I believe the Lijon tribe is either running or is running in coalition with others. That's the one I was thinking of. I just didn't call it, I didn't remember its name.
If I may, Karina Gould is the leader of the tribe, and she is also the co-founder with Janella LaRose of the Land Trust.
And the reason we were thinking of having them come here is because there's nothing on our work plan regarding the tribe. And so we wanted to hear from them what they would like from the city so that then we can get it on our work plan and start working on it. We were looking for guidance about what can we do. So and we can't, an individual could go talk to them, but then they wouldn't have the public exposure. It wouldn't be on YouTube. It wouldn't be,
Well,
agendized.
I'm sorry, but they don't need that anymore.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other comments from the commission or from the public? Okay, cool.
We're on, does anybody else have a future agenda item?
Yep.
We're still on that, right?
That's what I was asking,
Okay,
yep.
okay, yeah.
So it doesn't look like it. So I'll probably just send my notes to staff regarding you're probably taking note, but I'll send you also what we've talked about as it relates to the future agenda items. So the next meeting will be Tuesday, November 7th at 7 p.m. Sounds good. I'll adjourn the meeting.